Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with the rabbits today. It's a nice cooler evening, a really nice relief from some of the overwhelmingly hot afternoons we've had. But it's pretty nice out today, and we're out here with the rabbits, all of the outdoor rabbits. And they're just hanging out doing their bunny thing. Libra's back there, hiding. But today I wanted to talk about growing a food plot for your bunnies, because people have asked a few times whenever we have grasses, they look like grasses, thrown in here, either with these guys, or the littles have some. The littles have some, they're cute babies, and the boys have some. So I have been asked a few times where we got that. Is that just grass clippings? Yes and no. We actually grow a food plot for our rabbits. And you can do that too if you have the space, if you have the time, and if you are just willing to do it. Not everybody is, and that's fine. So growing a food plot can cut your food costs for your rabbits, because they do eat a fair amount. So you can cut your food costs. Hi guys. Who's making a... That's you digging. That's what that noise is. You digging. Hi. Hi, Silverado. So you can cut down your food costs by providing food that you grew yourself. You can control the mix so you can plant exactly what you want. And you'll know what fertilizers and pesticides have been used because it's your own food plot for your own bunnies. So you will know exactly what's been used, and you'll be able to choose exactly what you do use. So how do you do this? First of all, you have to pick an area in your yard. There's a whole bunch of birds making noise behind me. But for us, it's actually around that corner. Okay, we have an area that's mostly undisturbed. Nobody goes over there. Nobody makes a mess over there. The people are not there very often. So it's a good spot to have a little plot. And it's basically just like a garden, but you don't usually have it as a raised bed. You usually just do it right in the ground. So we're just right around that corner. You'll see there's some, you can even see from here, there's some longer grasses starting there, and it just runs along the side. And that's something I seeded last year. These are pumpkins, by the way. Anyway, let's go this way again. So you have to have a little spot. How big a spot depends on how many rabbits. Ours isn't very big. It doesn't need to be very big, but you can have as big a plot as you like. Ours isn't large. We don't need it to be. I don't have a problem affording the food for my rabbits. I just also like providing them with something I grew. So once you pick your spot, you have to decide what to grow. And in our case, we grow a mix of orchard grass. We grow also in there, there's some chicory. There's some clover, and there's some alfalfa. You might pick a blend of stuff to plant that is exactly what you need and not what I need. So we raise little ones, and they benefit from alfalfa. So we like putting alfalfa in the mix, because then we get alfalfa in our mix. Alfalfa is good for young growing bunnies. If you don't have young growing bunnies, you probably won't add alfalfa to your food plot. But once you've decided what you have, what you're going to have for your food plot, you can start preparing your plot. So the way you do that is first clear out any of the larger brush, vines, trees, stumps, things that basically prevent you from planting anything. So get that kind of cleared up. Then you want to cut the grass as low as possible. Just take your mower and just cut the grass as low as you possibly can, because that'll make the next step easier, because the next step is tilling up the area. Now you can use a rotor tiller, no problem. You can absolutely use a rotor tiller. You can also, instead of a rotor tiller, you can decide that you're actually going to till it up with a real tiller, a bigger one, but that's usually for larger properties. We ourselves don't have a real tiller. We just got the little hand rotor tiller. So if you do want to actually till, that's excellent, good for you, but you don't have to. You can just use a rotor tiller, or you can even use one of those hand push things if that's what you like, as long as you can till up the soil. Basically, till under the grass that's growing there. You don't have to get rid of the grass, just till it under. After you do that, give it a couple of days and then remove any weeds that pop up, any weeds that you don't necessarily want in your mix. Because if you don't want those weeds in your mix, you want to pull them before they really establish themselves all over again. So pull the weeds. Once you've pulled up the weeds, if you want to fertilize the soil, now's a good time. You may not need to. We didn't because there was already plenty of grass growing there. We just tilled it up. Hi, Bonnie. So till it up, fertilize it if you want. If you are going to fertilize, you want to fertilize right before a rain, because then the rain helps kind of distribute the fertilizer and kind of wears it down a little bit so that you don't end up with fertilizer all in one spot. So after you've done that, after you've fertilized, you want to spread your desired seed blend. So we already talked about what seed blends you might look for. So your grasses, your clovers, your alfalfas, whatever you want in your particular seed blend, make sure you have those seeds. Check your weather forecast and spread those seeds right before it rains. It's a really good idea to spread the seeds before it rains, because then they'll get lots of water. Because you need to water your seeds. Grass seeds grow best if they are kept wet. So water the heck out of your grassy plot. You want to make sure your food plot is getting as wet as you can make it in the first couple of weeks. It just makes your life easier. It'll make things grow a little bit better. Now, you're not going to be able to harvest this plot very much in your first year. You need a whole year for it to really get harvestable. You want your plants to establish themselves, your grasses, your clovers, so that they come back every year. If you harvest too quickly, they may not come back. So we didn't harvest our plot over there. We didn't harvest it last year. We were just tilling it up and planting it. This year we have started cutting and harvesting. So you can see how nice and bright the green grasses are. So you're going to have this plot planted for an entire year. And then the following year, when it gets tall enough to cut, you're going to cut it. So how tall is tall enough to cut? Hi, Bowser. How tall is tall enough to cut? That's a good question. Depends on what you're cutting with. A lot of people just use their regular lawnmower, so they let it get a few inches high, they cut it down, they rake it up, and they either feed it directly to the rabbits, like you see here, we fed our cuttings directly to the rabbits, or they let them dry, so they rake them out, let them dry in the sun, and then they bale them or bag them, so that you can feed them at your leisure. Depends how big your plot is and how many rabbits you're raising. So you can either cut and feed immediately, or you can cut and let dry and then bag or bale. Make sure it's 100% dry before you bag it. You don't want wet grass bagged, because then it'll rot. And that's no good. That's a waste. So make sure you are only bagging completely dry grasses. You can let it grow longer if you have a way to cut the longer grasses. So at the beginning, like, we're just using the lawnmower right now, but I will move on to using our crop cutter as it gets longer, as our grasses get longer, because we want it to be longer. Later in the year, we're going to let it grow a little bit longer, and I'm going to tie it in bushels, and then those bushels are going to be stored with our hay for our horse, and we're going to feed the horse hay to the horse and our bushels to our rabbits. So whatever works for you, however you are able to make sure that you can store the hay or store the grass. You don't have to store it, though. If you don't want to store it, don't. Feed it directly. That's fine, too. But we are looking to store it through the winter to cut our feed costs down in the winter like we did at the old place. You can dry it for long-term storage, but make sure it's dry. Too many people store it before it's 100% dry. It does need to be dry or it'll rot. Bowser's back. So that is basically how you start a food plot. It's not difficult. Decide what you want to grow. Grow it. Let it grow to the desired length. Cut it, dry it, store it. It works really well. It's an excellent way to cut down on your feed costs, and an excellent way to have a little bit of fun and grow something for your rabbits. It's an excellent time of year to start doing that, because you can prepare your plot and you can seed your plot, and then you can start harvesting your plot next year. So give it a try if you have the space and the inclination. that's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. Good luck with your rabbits. We'll see you tomorrow.